If you've been grinding through the Soviet tree recently, you're gonna have come across a lot of R-27s. Some are semi-active, some are active, some are passive, all with different ranges. And with all this variety, choosing the right build for the current meta can be really confusing. And so today, we're running the R-27 tier list, ranking every major variant from F tier all the way up to S tier. Helmets on, and let's get to it. Starting at the bottom, we have the R-27T, the base range infrared model. It measures about 4 meters long, clocks in at Mach 4.5, and in theory, can reach out to about 50 kilometers. Its seeker is entirely passive, so there's no radar emissions to give you away. Sounds great, right? Well, unfortunately, once you fire, the motor burns for a very short time before it needs to coast on residual speed. Most builds nowadays can just outrun it if not fire within about 4 kilometers rear aspect. And in today's lobbies, the missile's poor flare resistance means it really struggles to score reliable hits. It can be handy if your radar's down, but you rarely want it as your primary weapon. F tier. Moving up a notch, we meet the R-27ER, the original semi-active radar homing variant from the early 80s. Same 4 meter length, same Mach 4.5, same 50 kilometer theoretical ballpark range, but now you need to keep your radar beam pinned on the target the entire time. In uncontested airspace, that works fine, but in an actual lobby, it just makes you a sitting duck. You can't turn off your radar without losing the missile, and you can't outrange modern missiles. It's pretty reliable in low-threat environments, but in today's matches, it just falls short. D tier. Also in D tier is the R-27P, the passive radiation homing variant. It trades a semi-active seeker for a passive receiver tuned to find enemy radar emissions. Range is about the same, and you can fire without lighting up your own radar. Great for seed missions in theory, but this is a mostly air-focused channel, and for that reason, I'll rate it based on air-to-air capability. In that context, it's very mid. It's essentially an R-27R, but with a slightly narrower niche. Joining it in D tier is the R-27EP, the extended range radiation homing variant. Same boat as the R-27P. It can work and the longer reach definitely helps, but it's held back by the fact that its niche is just too narrow, especially in the context of air combats. Next up, we have the R-27ET, the extended range infrared variant. By stretching the airframe to 4.7 meters and adding extra propellant, you get a nice theoretical range bump to about 80 kilometers. Now I know that sounds amazing. After all, a nearly 100 kilometer heat seeker is insane. But the problem is it's limited by the seeker. You are not going to be locking onto targets anywhere close to 80 clicks, not even rear aspect, and you still have very bad flare resistance, especially far away. Now it is fun hitting 20 kilometer shots against unsuspecting bozos, but the situations where it really shines are just too niche. It has its uses and is very fun, but overall the R-27ET sits in C tier. Climbing into B tier, we have the R-27ER, the extended range semi-active radar variant. Again, 4.7 meters long, Mach 4.5, roughly 80 kilometer theoretical range. Except this climbs a tier because you can actually utilize those kinematics. Getting radar locks at 80 kilometers is not out of the question in today's meta, so you can actually use the missile's range. But the problem is, you still have to keep your radar lit, and in heavily contested environments, that continuous illumination becomes a glaring liability. It's pretty alright, especially if you have dedicated illuminators, otherwise you're better off elsewhere. Now we're actually going to skip A tier entirely and move straight to S tier. The R-27EA is the extended range active radar homing variant. Again, the long 4.7 meter fuselage with extra propellant, with a theoretical range of about 80 clicks, but also paired with an onboard fire and forget radar seeker. Between all the previous options, this is the first missile that I could actually see myself using a fair bit in regular lobbies. It's a bit heavier compared to other active radar homing counterparts, but its reach and seeker makes this quite handily the most workable missile so far on this tier list. A very easy S tier. So there you have it, the R-27 tier list. Keep in mind that some jets don't support carrying all of these missiles, so you have to use your discretion when it comes to picking what you need for your situation. So tell me, what missile family do you want tier listed next? Subscribe for more loadout deep dives, and as always, fly safe.